Welcome back, you guys, to another episode of It Ends With Us. You guys, this is the podcast that is about generational curses and breaking them down. Now, a generational curse is something of the mindset, it's a habit, it is a cycle, it is something going on in our families that is negatively affecting us in our lineage and that is stopping us from walking into God's truest purpose for our lives. I am Brittany Wilder. I am your hostess with the mostest, and I help divorced women reclaim their identity and rise again in their peace, their confidence, and their divine power. And I'm so excited because we have another wonderful guest that is here to share, Dr. Myava Clark. I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to her. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much, Brittany, for having me on here today with you and your entrusting me with your audience. My name is Dr. Myava Clark, and I help parents and caregivers of neurodivergent children by providing emotional support and practical tools without burning out as they guide their children toward meaningful friendships where they are truly celebrated for who they are and not just tolerated, all while helping to prevent them from being bullied. And neurodivergent refers to the way an individual's brain processes information, learns, or behaves that is considered different than what is normal or neurotypical. And it's just an umbrella term for conditions such as ADHD, autism, or dyslexia. So it's just a term, and you may know have heard of it referred to when we were coming up as like special education or special needs.
You for explaining that to everybody. I'm so excited because I know this is going to be just a divinely connected conversation. And I'm so excited about it. So let's jump right into our questions. My first question for you, Dr. Myava, is what is that generational curse, that cycle, that family pattern that you noticed that you had to break in your life?
Well, for me, one of the biggest things was feeling the need to be perfect.
Mm, mm, yeah.
I thought that I had to show up perfectly every time. So I tried, even from a little girl, the good grades, the all the things. I was the good girl,
Yeah.
didn't cause my parents any trouble. And that carried over into adulthood. It carried over into marriage, motherhood. And what I've learned was, okay, when I first had my children, when I had my son, I was blessed to be able to work part-time.
Mm,
I am a respiratory therapy clinician. I worked in a hospital and I made enough money that we could survive on a part-time salary. I didn't have overflow at that point, but it was just enough to make ends meet, and I was able to be home. I
yeah.
worked 2 days during the weekend, every other weekend. My husband had them on the weekends. So I was blessed to be able to see all my children first. So even though I worked, I was almost like a stay-at-home mom because I was there so much. But it was like having the best of both worlds because when I got tired of being with the kids, I had to go to work and I was with adults. So it was like the perfect storm for me. And then 10 years after I was in the field, I started teaching in a college as a lab instructor and a clinical specialist. So therefore, I had two part-time jobs, but it afforded me a nice income, but I didn't have the stress and the pressure of the full-time responsibility. Okay.
Nice. Yes.
So in 2019, I went from having two part-time jobs to having a full-time job, and then I got hired into another teaching full-time job. So I was teaching two full-time jobs at the same time.
Goodness.
And so imagine being part-time for like 19 years with two jobs where you can kind of go as you please to
Right.
having the responsibility of two full-time jobs. It was a lot of pressure.
Oh, yes.
And I felt the walls closing in on me and I was stressed. And I remember praying one day and I was at my wit's end. I was just like completely overwhelmed. And I was just crying, like, oh my God, like I was over my head,
Yeah.
right? I was survive. So to everybody else, I was fine because everything was getting done. But internally, I was over my head.
Yeah.
And in that space, I heard God say, my Ava, you don't need to be perfect.
Yeah.
He said, no one expects you to be perfect but you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about perfection, it's about progression. And I cried and cried because I did it to myself. I put the pressure on myself and it wasn't even necessary. So that was very challenging for me. And then in that same space, I had to forgive myself. I had to say, okay, it was done, you did it, and it's okay, let's move forward. And so when you say breaking a generational curse, I realize now that I don't need to be perfect. I just need to progress.
Yes.
And what else with that, I learned that perfection is a lie.
Come on.
Perfection is a lie that we can never obtain. And believe it or not, perfection is pride. It's
Mm,
pride if you think you can be perfect and be without error.
right.
And guess who the father of pride is? The enemy.
Hello.
Pride doesn't come from God. And so as I was investigating this space, I got more and more revelation because if you think you need to be perfect to do something, the odds are you won't do it
Yeah.
and it will keep you stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a tactic and a trick of the enemy to paralyze us in fear to think that we're not good enough to do what God called us to do.
Come on.
So we can't live according to his purpose in our lives.
Yeah.
And so knowing that and understanding that, I tell people now, I'm very quick to say, I don't need to be perfect, but I do need to be excellent. The difference is perfection means to me that you have to be without mistakes. You have to, it's error free, and that's impossible because we're human, we're flawed.
Right.
Excellent means doing the very best that you can in any given situation at any given time. So I
I,
don't need to be perfect, but I do need to be excellent. And one last thing I will say about that is someone used to call me perfect. And I said, I'm not perfect. And they would say, well, you're the closest person I know to perfection.
Mhm.
And I wore that as a badge of honor. But what I learned was that wasn't honor, it was pressure.
Yeah.
And therefore, I was chasing this falsehood, thinking that I was going to disappoint them if I wasn't perfect or as close to it as possible. And then after God gave me that revelation, I said I no longer wore that as a badge of honor. And they called me that again. And I said, please do not say that. And they said, but you are. I said, please, that's not flattery, that's pressure. And
Yeah. That's good. First off, you opened up a big can of worms. I tell people all the time, I'm a recovered perfectionist. Like it's all progression over perfectionism. Like because being a perfectionist helped me in school, right? It helped me. I, top of the top, graduated summa cum laude, got the grades, got the accolades, all the different things. And just like you, it's funny how like our stories are similar. Always the good girl, always the girl with the good grades, never caused any problems with my parents, always on the straight and narrow track, being perfect, 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 perfect. Just because I felt like that was how I identified myself. Like that was what caused me to feel like I was somebody, was being
mhm,
perfect. But like you said, it's pride, and we put these expectations on ourselves. I dealt with a lot of anxiety and stress because of the perfectionism. And what I noticed was coming out of school, being a perfectionist really did not come into play, and it didn't work for me when I became a coach, because it's crazy to think that I could come out and just be perfect out the gate being a coach. And here I am,
Right.
7, 8 years later in the coaching field and helping people. And of course, I've gotten better and all the above. But I thought I was just going to be amazing out the gate. And when I started failing, or things didn't work out, or I didn't attract the clients that I thought, I was like, what is going on? Like, this is not how it's supposed to go, God. So I love that you're talking about this. I know that a lot of people are going to resonate with it, because a lot of the things that we went through taught us that we had to be perfect in order to be somebody or to do
Mhm.
something great. And that's such a lie, and it is a trick of the enemy, and we're here to stop that. We're here to drop that generational curse off. Boom, let it go and release.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for me, it has been so freeing.
Yes.
It has been so freeing. And one of the things that I wrote and I put in my book was you can't move a parked car. And even in neutral, if you push a car, it'll move. So if we think we need to be perfect and we don't move when we're stuck, we don't go anywhere. And God can't do anything with that. But even all he wants us to do is start where we are.
Come on.
He just wants us to show up and be willing, no matter how slow we are, because if we're neutral, he can push us. But if we're parked, we're not going anywhere.
That's right. That's right. So I always ask this question, but I know you answered a little bit of it. Was there like an aha moment in your life where you saw that perfectionist really, it really was just like that moment where you're like, I cannot move forward. I have to stop this right here, right now. I know you talked a little bit about it, but I wanted to, shine a little more light on that aha moment where you're like, I'm done with this generational curse. It stops here today.
100%. And that was working the two jobs, and that was right before COVID. It was the
Oh,
fall of 20. It was just talking to you, I feel the pain that I felt. My body feels the tension of that moment, but I also feel the release of that. So it's the juxtaposition of the two feelings simultaneously. I feel them as I'm talking about it. And I'm grateful. I feel like God smiled on me that day, and it was His grace that allowed me to receive what He was saying to me. Because sometimes God talks to us and we're not in a position to receive it because we're not ready, or we're not willing, or we're not open. So it was His grace that allowed me to receive what He was saying, and I'm grateful for that.
I love that. Love it. Okay, my last question that I ask everybody is, what are the tools or the practices, or those faith strategies that helped you truly break free? Like, what was it for you that you implemented and you continue to implement, right? Because we know generational curses, it's a continual thing. It's continual work that
100%.
every day, right? So what are those things that you do?
I pray,
Amen.
I lean in, and I listen.
Yeah.
I actually listen more than I talk when I pray. I don't ask for things per se. I pray to hear what God wants me to do, who I'm to be. And so what helps me to not feel the need to be perfect is I have learned to go at the pace of grace. And I ask God, what am I grace for today? And that alone has helped me to not feel overwhelmed or overly stressed on most days. I'm human, so occasionally I have to remind myself, like chill out. This isn't serving you well. And I refuse to go back to where I was. So when I feel those old behaviors trying to creep, I dismiss them, I resist them, and then I tell them they don't serve me well and they don't have a place here anymore. So what anything I would recommend to someone is to be aware and in tune with your body and
Yes.
who you are. And when you see those old behaviors trying to creep back, all you got to do is resist them. The word says resist them and he will flee. So I remember um I heard God say to me once, "My Ava, when you get a negative thought, resist it. If it goes away, it was the enemy.
Mm,
If it stays, it was you."
that's good.
And so the vast majority of the time when that has happened, if not every time, when I resisted it, firmly resisted the thought, it left. That means sometimes the enemy will camouflage his voice as your voice, and you think it's your thought, but it's not. It's his thought sounding like your voice.
Yep. Oh yeah, all the time. All the time. I was just talking about this today, just mindset in general. That's such a huge portion of what I teach is just mindset. Like when negative thoughts do come in, and they will, right? Because, like you said, we're human, we're flawed. There are things happening. We've gone through things, right? Experiences, trauma, whatever it is that we've gone through, that stuff tries to come back. It's just that
Yes,
old programming that
yes,
keeps on trying and trying.
yes,
And we have to take authority of our thoughts.
yes,
We have to
yes,
know this is not it. No, that is not me anymore. That is an old version of
yes,
myself.
yes,
I
yes,
refuse to take this thought with me moving forward.
yes,
It ends here. So
yes,
I love that you shared that because that is it's so powerful and it's so important.
yes. And what you just said is what I tell my students. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a college professor, and I hear students say, "Oh, I'm really bad at math. I don't do well in math." And what I say to them is, say, "I used to be bad at math,
Right.
but now I'm progressing," or whatever. They have to break that
Yes.
because it doesn't serve them. So I agree with you 100%. The life and death is in the power of the tongue. If you think you can, you will, and if you think you can't, you won't.
That's it. Easy. It's easy. Easy, just like that.
hmm
Stated plainly.
Yeah.
Uh,
You
oh,
are who you think you are, and
yes.
and knowing that I choose to think good thoughts. I choose to think God's blessings,
Yes.
and I choose to think that anything I touch will turn to prophetic gold. And
Come
that's the
on.
way that's how I choose to show up.
Yes. I love that. I love that. Well, listen, we are right at the end. This has been beautiful. Everything that you're saying, we're in alignment like this all the time. So I'm happy that people are going to be able to see this and be able to hear and, and vibe with us and all the above. Share a little bit about what you have coming up, how they can get in touch with you, all the things, because, they may want to reach out and that sort of thing for sure.
Okay, sure. Well, I have a business with my son called CASEN, Collaborative Advancement for Social and Emotional Needs. And at CASEN, we support and empower parents and caregivers as well as children on how to be safe online and how to really just protect their kids. We prepare them so they're not afraid to allow their children to go online. We prepare them with the tools. Well, social media is not going anywhere. So when parents think that their kids are not online because they don't have a smartphone or a tablet, they're fooling themselves because they're only looking at it on their friends' devices or cousins' devices or whatever. And it's better to empower them to know how to use it correctly as opposed to them sneaking and getting misinformation
Yes.
or just not what you would want them to know because they're learning from another child.
Right.
And so people can get in touch with me. I have a free ebook, The 5 Secrets to Emotionally Support Your Child with Learning Differences Without Burning Out. And they can get that by going to mothersofexceptionalkids.com. That's mothersofexceptionalkids.com. And they can learn more about CASIN and what we do by going to casinllc.com.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Dr. Myava. This has been such a wonderful conversation. You guys already know we're in a brand new year. And if you feel the nudge of God, if you feel that nudge, you know it's time to do something. It's time to step into that. Just like Dr. Myava was saying, lean in, right? We're leaning into that
Amen.
this year. It is your year to do something amazing, to do something better than what you've done before. And that just means that we have some changes to make, and that's okay. Go ahead and book your consultation. And just like every Thursday, y'all, we will see you next Thursday. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you again, Dr. Myava. See you guys later.
Welcome. Bye.
Bye.